Hello, my name is Ann Evans, and I'm with NursolMedicalProducts, and I've created the ultimate pill crusher for children with cerebral palsy or other disabilities. I want to tell you a little bit about how the ultimate pill crusher was created. Every morning I would get up, my son and I would get up, and I would prepare my son's medication, having to crush some of the medications in a pill crusher. Every morning, my son Caden would see how frustrated I would get preparing his medications, trying to dig all that medication out of the grooves of the pill crusher. And then what I would have to do is mix it with applesauce or pudding, and then I would open up his capsule that had little beads in it, and they would go all over the place, onto the counter, never all on the spoon. So one morning, my 7-year-old suggested that I invent a device that had a wall around a spoon, so I wouldn't have to be so frustrated every morning. And you know what? That's exactly what I did. So a little bit I want to talk about is what is dysphagia. Dysphagia is problems with the throat or esophagus which lead to difficulty swallowing or the inability to swallow. There are lots of different individuals that can have dysphagia. Many of these individuals can have dysphagia or problems swallowing or the inability to swallow. There are many types of diseases and diagnoses which result in dysphagia, such as stroke, Parkinson's, children with cerebral palsy, autism. There's so many different diagnoses. What I found through my research, I started concentrating on children that had cerebral palsy. It is estimated that there are approximately 800,000 children and adults living with cerebral palsy in the United States. Every year, an additional 8,000 to 10,000 babies and infants are diagnosed with cerebral palsy. In addition to this number, 1,200 to 1,500 preschool-aged children are also diagnosed with cerebral palsy each year. Therefore, there will be 8,000 to 10,000 newly diagnosed cases of cerebral palsy, as well as the additional 1,200 to 1,500 preschoolers. 98 to 99% of children and adults with cerebral palsy have some degree of dysphagia, which requires them to crush their medications or get them in a compounded or liquid form. People with dysphagia can take their medications in two different forms. Approximately 50% of people with dysphagia can take their medication in a liquid or compounded medication form. Not all medication is available in a liquid or compounded form. Approximately 40% of people with dysphagia crush medications with a handheld pill crusher. And approximately 10% of people with dysphagia crush medications by using other methods. Right now in the United States, 41 million people have dysphagia, and they're living within the community. That number is significant because it shows that that is the amount of people with all different subgroups that have dysphagia living at home, being cared for by a caretaker, or caring for themselves. Let's look at how medication is currently crushed using a pill crusher on the market. As you can see, step 1 up here, and I'm going to circle. Step 1 here starts with you crush the medication inside of the pill crusher. This is actually from a pill crusher of one of the mothers that NursolMedicalProducts interviewed. Look how much medication is on the side and on the top. Second step, here we go here. We're going to transfer the crushed medication into a secondary container. From here, there's two ways that we can administer it. If the person is going to take the medication by mouth, they can come up here and they can mix it with applesauce or pudding. So here's another cup that they're mixing it in, and then remove it with a spoon. If they're getting their medication via a feeding tube, They will mix it with water, draw it up with a syringe, and it can be administered through the feeding tube. But just look how many steps are required when an individual is going to be crushing their medication. Not only do you have to transfer it, you have to mix it with applesauce or pudding and then transfer it again, or with water and then transfer it again. So that's 3 different steps where it has to be transferred. What I found very significant is when I interviewed many of the mothers of cerebral palsy individuals who they care for their children with cerebral palsy, is that moms were so tired of having to go through this step that they were actually preparing some of the medication the night before, mixing it with water, drawing it up with syringes, and storing it in the refrigerator so they'd have everything ready for the next day. I had some concerns about that, which were validated after calling multiple pharmacies. Certain medications can lose their potency when they sit and are diluted in a water substance overnight. So some of these moms have come up with their own solutions that may be decreasing the potency of the medication. Other moms came to the conclusion, instead of transferring it here in this cup, let's just come up here to this pill crusher, mix the applesauce or pudding in there, and then scoop it out with a spoon and administer it. These individuals do not know that currently any pill crusher that's on the market, a handheld plastic pill crusher, is not made with food grade plastic. Therefore, it's a type 1 medical device that has to be registered through the FDA but not regulated. So these individuals are actually probably getting chemicals in with that food substance and pills that they are giving directly to their children, because this plastic is not made to come in contact with saliva of the mouth. When we look at what problems have been identified in the past with current handheld pill crushers, what we can do is we can take a look at studies that the University of Buffalo Center for Knowledge Translation for Technology Transfer did when they developed their first automated pill crusher in 2009. And this was actually licensed to First Wave Medical Products in 2013. What the University of Buffalo found is similar to what my company, NursolMedicalProducts, has found when interviewing, doing polls, and also getting surveys from individuals that have to crush medications daily. What the University of Buffalo found that family caretakers and nursing homes reported is that there is a significant loss of medication during transfer of the crushed medication or in the pill crusher. 96% of these interviewees reported poor crushing performance. 88% said the process is too long or involves too many steps. And 82% raised concern of medication being lost in the device, resulting in inaccurate dosing. When Nursol Medical Product looked at this research, we wanted to find that a problem still existed with current pill crushers on the market. So therefore, we did our own survey of individuals. We did it in the community home setting of those individuals who care for somebody that has dysphagia and needs their pills crushed daily. We did this through Facebook polls, personal interviews, and online surveys. We did this with 106 total participants and 152 total responses. We had different choices that they could answer. What we found is that 72% reported medication lost in the pill crusher and with transfer was a concern. 71% reported medication gets stuck in the pill crusher and is difficult to remove. 60% reported, and we're up to actually 65%, reported using their current pill crusher is a timely, multi-step, and inconvenient process. And only 12% of these 106 total participants said nothing was wrong with their current handheld pill crusher. The other thing I'm going to mention, which I'll mention here in a little bit, is that there are also many concerns that individuals have when preparing medications to be crushed. And we will get into that a little bit further but later on. But now we're going to talk about Nursol's Medical Products Ultimate Pill Crusher and how our pill crusher is different from other handheld pill crushers currently on the market. The Ultimate Pill Crusher is the only pill crusher ever created with a removable built-in spoon. As you can see when looking at the device, it has a built-in spoon into the device. You can crush the medications right within the device, mix it with applesauce or pudding, remove the device, and the caretaker can automatically give that medication mixed in applesauce or pudding to their loved one, child, or individual that's in need of getting the medications crushed. They can also crush the medications, remove the spoon, and put it into the syringe that has water in it, mix it back and forth, and give it directly into that feeding tube. There is no need to transfer once the medication is crushed in this device to a secondary device, and again mixed with applesauce, pudding, or water, and then have to worry about that waste again in the secondary container, and then administering it from that. It replaces the multi-step medication preparation process currently required by handheld pill crushers on the market. It's an all-in-one device. You crush the medication and you directly administer the medication. When we look at parents' education needs, when Nursol Medical Products interviewed the different participants in our study to find out what challenges they face with their current pill crusher, an interesting fact that we also realized when talking to these individuals, not one of the parents or the caretakers interviewed had been told how to crush their medications and what to crush them with. All the individuals who were told they were then going to take home a new child with a feeding tube or with a new diagnosis of dysphagia, they were told they had to crush their medications, but they didn't know how. They didn't know what with, and they were not explained which medications shouldn't be crushed. When I interviewed, personally, Nursol Medical Products, physicians, pharmacists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, discharge nurses from rehabilitation facilities, long-term nursing home care, none of these individuals reported that they did the teaching with the individual families on how to crush the medications, and they did not demonstrate the process or did not educate them where to get a pill crusher. Some of these parents didn't even know a pill crusher existed. These individuals are going home with new diagnoses of dysphagia, some of them having feeding tubes, and the parents don't know how to prepare or administer the medication. That is a big concern that I found when interviewing the different parents, which was confirmed again when I interviewed the individuals who took care of these children with new PEGS tubes. Did they do the teaching post-operatively? Who did the teaching? Did they do it when they were discharged from rehabilitation? It was just assumed that the next caretaker would be doing the education. But the truth was the education was not being done at all. The only place I did find education was being done was in the hospice home setting, such as Summa Healthcare here in Cleveland, Ohio, gives a pill crusher with every new hospice patient. And they are explained how to use that pill crusher by the nurse who takes care of that patient in the home setting and is the hospice nurse for that patient. Nursol Medical Products would like to partner with your organization or institution. I really feel from the research I have gathered and from the parents and caretakers I have spoke with, it is very necessary that we get the word out that these parents and caretakers are not being educated how to properly prepare and crush the patient's medications or their loved one's medications prior to being discharged from the hospital or rehabilitation, or even in the home care setting. They're figuring it out on their own. They're grabbing cans, hammers, whatever they can find, 2 spoons, and it's not effective for them. And it's very, very frustrating. My goal is before any child goes home from the hospital with a new peg tube or a diagnosis of dysphagia, as well as any adults, that they go home with the ultimate pill crusher, being showed how to use it and knowing how to prepare the medications effectively. So when they go home, they don't have to struggle with the concerns of not knowing how to prepare and administer the medications. I would like to donate a percentage of each pill crusher sold. If I partner with the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, I would like to donate a portion of each pill crusher sold to this foundation. If I partner with a pediatric hospital or hospitals nationwide, I would also like to donate a portion of each pill crusher sold to the charity, foundation, or hospital dysphagia research study of their choice. My name is Ann Evans. I'm the president of NursolMedicalProducts. My company is individually owned. We are currently pre-revenue. I understand dysphagia. I have cervical dystonia and I've had my esophagus paralyzed twice. Both times I had to crush my medications. I lost 25 pounds in 2.5 months, both times that my esophagus was paralyzed. I was constantly trying to figure out ways to effectively crush and administer my medications so I would not choke and that I would be safe. My son also has medications which he needs crushed and prepared daily. And through him, I was able to see through his eyes there was a more effective way and less frustrating way to prepare his and my daily medications. And I hope you will see the same. And together we can help educate parents and caregivers nationwide. Thank you.